funny to say because it could be at any time of any single day. But no, I am thankful. I know I keep kind of hinting at it. I am going to miss the beautiful people as I fall out of this routine for a little bit. But I am thankful that we're able, or you guys are letting me take a little bit of time to adjust to what will be probably some very new processes and new habits that I'll have to get into.
I feel like new is a understatement.
I was going to say, that might not be doing enough, but nonetheless.
Nonetheless, you're here. Excited to have you here. Excited to have Michael hanging out, as we said, in the bullpen in our living room area that will eventually be almost like our podcast area. So he's hanging out, having a good time. But we'll chat a little bit of HPU baseball because coming up this afternoon, we will bring you HPU versus Chaminade baseball action at 2:00 p.m. out at Hans Orange Park. It will be, Paul will be sitting this one out just in case because it is kind of far in Waipahu and then traffic to the hospital, in which if it happens, like we're just going to play it safe. So it'll be Kyle Galdera and Michael Iscaro on the call this afternoon. So Michael will join us on the show to chat a little bit about that preview of the game. Hopefully the weather holds up and not too bad. I heard it's supposed to get pretty bad towards the ending of the week. So just hold out today and tomorrow, please, weather, because we do have outdoor broadcasts. We've got baseball, as I mentioned, today, and then we have girls flag football coming out tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. And just please.
I would sign up for Friday. The weather cannot hold up anymore because I also hopefully have family members coming out here to obviously meet Baby Brecht. They would arrive pre-Friday, so that way it's a fair ask. We go into the weekend, and if it's rainy, it's rainy. And whatever.
You're staying indoors anyways.
But that way we can have our broadcasts, we can present all of our wonderful awards to our high school athletes, and we can also call some fun college action.
Yeah.
You guys. I'll be listening. I'll be tuned in on the new HSRN app.
I was going to be He's joining us in spirit.
I will be on the app. And I hope a bunch of people join on the app as well. Because otherwise.
Speaking of joining, I see our Michael Iscaro is already active in the YouTube chat. Just wanted to go ahead and do that. So he's in the YouTube chat. Join in along. You guys can chime into the YouTube chat or text us at 808-888-5481. That's 808-888-5481 if you want to get in on the conversation. We're going to get to a lot of the weekend stuff. Obviously, we're going to get to a lot of the NCAA men's and women's March Madness conversation. UCLA, the queens of women's basketball. So we definitely need to recap that one because it wasn't much of a game. It was UCLA's game, and they just went all in, and they did not look back during that entire game. And South Carolina just kind of used up all that they had against UConn in the semifinals. So we'll dive into that and get our takes from that. We'll get into the preview or recap a little bit of the very lackluster Final Fours that we saw for the men's side and preview the championship game a little bit. And then we'll talk some men's volleyball. They continue their winning ways. I mean, another sweep on the road. Baseball, unfortunately, lost that series there, but at least they won one game against the top team in the conference. So
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Again, we'll hear some post game after the men's volleyball game. Hear from head coach Charlie Wade and what he had to say following that yet another Saturday second game dominant win that they just. I mean, when there's watching film and learning from the first game and looking at all the stats. But like what the men's volleyball team does on their second night is just next level. Like
all the time.
5-set win on the Friday match and then just a sweep on Saturday. And you're like, what just happened? Like it's just two different games and teams that we're playing against. And UC Irvine is very, very good. So it just makes me chuckle because how dominant the men's volleyball team is on that second day.
Yeah, they've kicked it up another level. They've been excellent on the second day all season. I think I put it in the article, the recap that I wrote, and if you missed that, you can check it out on hawaiisportsradio.com. I believe they improved to 10-1 now on the second day of a series, or in the second time that they play an opponent. The only time that they've lost was that Loyola Chicago Mexico match way back in the start of the year. So they have been outstanding on the second night of whatever series. And like you said, you can say it's watching film, you can say that it's whatever you want it to be, but these guys have taken it up another level, taken it up another notch on the second night, and that is extra impressive against an opponent like UC Irvine, where I fully expected it to be another, all-out war on Saturday, where you go through 5 sets on Friday, and both teams kind of don't have their best stuff, a little bit sloppy, and you expect things to be cleaned up, but you also expect it to be back and forth once again. And it's not that it wasn't. 25-22 in all 3 sets. But nonetheless, Hawaii doing a great job when it comes to the winning time. They always locked in. They always made sure to, wrap the bow around the box before getting out of there. It was an impressive performance. They continue to be incredibly impressive as this home stretch goes down. And now all of a sudden you're like, man, could they maybe host a region? No, we won't get into that.
I saw some, for initial predictions of what the regionals could look like, and people have Hawaii hosting a Hawaii regional essentially, as they would be, this was so early on, as they would be kind of like tabbed in as the second seed going into the tournament as it stands. And I want to say I saw this early prediction maybe come out before the UC Irvine matches, or maybe after the first night. But yeah, that would be interesting to, I'm going to try to find it when we go to our next break and we get into talking about men's volleyball a little bit more. But so we just mentioned UCLA, the queens of women's basketball, but the championship that we cared most about here in Hawaii. Shout out to Rainbow Wahine Water Polo, the champs again of the Big West. So our Big West regular season, but champs nonetheless. They had the kind of like the paper cutouts of the Big West Conference Champions Trophy and like a ring there out on senior night. And not only that, but just BTA over Cal State Fullerton, 20-2 over Cal State Fullerton. So shout out to the Rainbow Wahine Water Polo team going in there, no surprise, as the top seed in the Big West Conference tournament. But the good thing about when you have senior nights and the score is the way that it is, all the seniors get to go in and play and kind of it's not always the case if games are close on senior night. You don't always get to allow your seniors to go in there. But this Rainbow Wahine Water Polo team, my goodness, like just pure domination, as we had mentioned that it would be, or somewhat predicted. Yeah. But man, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, they continue to be awesome. This is the third straight Big West title for the Rainbow Wahine. They continue to set new standards here in the islands in the pool, where we've talked about it before with women's water polo, where it's really just kind of been a sport dominated by the same 3 teams over and over again. And Hawaii, to their credit, whether it was under Coach Mo or now continuing under Coach James Robinson, they continue to put together season after season to try and burst into that group, try and say, hey, we also are pretty damn good at water polo. And this was another statement. Obviously, Cal State Fullerton, not exactly your USCs, your UCLAs, your Stanfords, whatever. But nonetheless, the Big West still a very talented conference, and Cal State Fullerton still wanted to put up a solid performance, and you still just BTA. It was incredible, and it ends out with a night where you have all 7 seniors in the pool to finish it out, which was also a very, very cool moment. Just overall, a nice night, and you like to finish out the regular season on a victory. Now it's time for the championship sprint for them, though.
Yeah, trying to claim yet another Big West Conference tournament championship. Taking a look at how the seeding is, or not the seeding, but the brackets heading into the tournament next week. Friday is the start of the tournament. Hawaii, though, gets a first round bye, so they are into the semifinals, but they would await the winner of the number 8 seed. Wait, am I reading this right? Oh, excuse me. not the first round bye. I have basketball on the brain. Number 1 seed versus the 8 seed in UC Santa Barbara. That's on Friday. Should they win, they would await the winner of the 4 seed UC Irvine and the 5th seed UC San Diego. That game would be on Saturday, and then the championship game would be on Sunday. Taking a look at the bottom half of the bracket, you have the 2 seed in Long Beach State versus the 7 seed Cal State Fullerton, and then also the 3 seed UC Davis versus the 6 seed in CSUN. And again, no first round bye. They do play that first day on Friday, the 8 seed in UC Santa Barbara. But if there's any indication that the tournament will go exactly how the regular season went, shouldn't have to worry too much about that game. Maybe that's why.
No.
In my brain, I was like, oh yeah, it's a first round bye.
More or less, yeah. I mean, for those who
practice.
For those who missed it, it was an 18-4 victory for the Rainbow Wahine within the Duke. So, away from home, maybe it'll be a little bit different. Perhaps it'll be 17-5. No, I truly expect them to go through. It'll be another tough battle against whether it's Long Beach, whether it's UC Irvine, whoever it may be. But I do expect this Rainbow Wahine team to continue to make another push for the national tournament. It just seems like that is the standard that they have set for themselves at this point. And this group of seniors, I'm sure, doesn't want to see their career end in any other way.
All right, Paul, before we get into talking about some NCAA women's basketball, recapping that championship game we saw yesterday between UCLA and South Carolina, I do want to talk a little bit about here with University of Hawaii women's basketball, as the news that came out over the weekend, that it was announced via social media, but not even directly, as it's so weird because it's like never directly from the actual player or
anymore.
Person. But one of the latest transfer portal or intent to, well, I guess it is today. Today the transfer portal opens, but at the time, intent to enter the transfer portal is UH women's basketball freshman guard Keiara Curtis, aka Curdy, who really had just this incredible freshman season, or somewhat of a breakout star, right? When she starts to get in there, earned the starting spot, and came up with some really clutch and big games. I remember you and I joked about when there were times during some of the games, especially here, where she'll like throw up those 3-point shots, and then I'm like, "What are you doing? That's okay. Well, it's good, yay!" Good or like, "Good shot. That was a good shot because it went in, yay!" But no, it's just the kind of world that we live in now. But at the same time, I am still very confident in this team that has already been put together with a lot of the young guards. Bailey Flevel on the other end, like she hopefully is staying and have no indication of otherwise. A lot of the other young players there. Now, I know a lot of it is reliant on who the next head coach is going to be for the Rainbow Wahine, of course. But, I'm still very optimistic on the future of Rainbow Wahine basketball, even though it is still a bummer. We're still recovering from that news with Coach Laura Beeman retiring essentially from coaching basketball, but we'll see where her future leads her next. But yeah, Keiara Curtis, a very significant piece down the stretch in that Rainbow Wahine basketball lineup, but at the same time, not necessarily too worried about it. And I like I said, I think there's a lot of young talent on this team. And then there's the transfer portal. Hawaii really gained a lot. I mean, even especially when you look at someone like Sanaya Neverson, who was very significant last season. So transfer portal is open. The transfer portal taketh, but it can also giveth. So kind of like when we talk about stuff on the men's side, it's like, I won't freak out until we get to like July and then see like what is on the roster and heading into the fall and the early practices and all of that stuff. But we do wish Keiara Curtis all of the best and hope she gets lands somewhere that she wants to be. And if it is for the money, then all the more to her, and that's what she can find out. But then, and I've just thought about this, that would mean, would Jovi be the only, with the other seniors departing, would Jovi currently be the only U.S. passport holder at the moment? Because you did have Sanaya and Imani, but they graduated.
That actually,
and then Keiara Curtis would be the other one, and then Jovi Lefotu, I feel like would be, because there weren't a lot to begin with.
I was going to say,
there were
a lot to begin with. It was most of the rosters
Aussies,
from
Kiwis,
down under,
and then you had Italy represented,
right, and Canada.
And Canada, yeah. So I'm like,
I think yes.
Trivia question.
because-
Jovi Leifotu, the only U.S. passport holder currently on this UH women's basketball roster.
Yes, I mean we can Mike and the Mad Dog it real fast. Ella Collins, T. Bond, Bailey Flevel, Jade Peacock. Both of them are in the transfer portal. Sorry, Rebecca Moores, Ritoria Tamilos, Fiamma Sarah, Keiara Webb. Sorry, and that's it. That's it. Everybody else is either graduated or in the portal, and Jovi, obviously. Yeah, you're right. Look at you, right off the top of your head too. Good work. Good work. For whatever it's worth, and this is via Skim Milky on Twitter, which is actually great women's basketball coverage account if you're interested in that type of thing. As of 10 minutes ago, current list of teams with 5+ players currently in the transfer portal. Hawaii is not one of them, so that is a good thing to follow your point off of. And like you mentioned, the transfer portal officially opened actually last night at 6 p.m. Hawaii time. Funny enough. But I believe there are over 1,000 players already in the transfer portal. Cal Poly has 6 players in the portal. CSU Bakersfield has 5 players in the portal. I know UC Riverside saw that Hannah Wickstrom, was she the player of the year this year? Maybe not. She might have been the newcomer, whatever. The girl who scored like 800 million points in the Big West this year, she hit the transfer portal as well. So lot of transfers out of the Big West, and obviously we are graduating up into the Mountain West as the Rainbow Wahine are. But I do take that as
Hannah, come here, Hannah.
Yes, but that is something that I do take as a good thing in terms of, like you mentioned, there's not a coach right now. That job has been posted, and I wonder how that process is going. Matt Elliott was on record with you saying he would, if it's up to him, which, it is for the most part, if it's up to him, he would like this process to move relatively quickly and have somebody by the end of the month. And I think that was a very liberal deadline by him. I'm sure he would realistically like somebody before the transfer portal closes in 2 weeks. So that is where my mind is at currently. I am a little bit worried about the Rainbow Wahine, but that's just because I worry in general when you don't have a coach. That being said, I think it's an attractive job. I think the fact that a lot of these young women still want to be here is a big thing, and the fact that Laura Beeman is still around is also a big thing. Like the fact that she didn't just retire and disappear, I do think that helps a little bit with the retainment. So that was all my take. Yeah, with Curdy, I wish the best to her. Good luck. It's just kind of the name of the game at this point. If you think you can get a better opportunity, if you think you need something else, then go do so. Hawaii, like I mentioned, I think they're in a good place. They're moving to a better conference. They're going to have a new coach and whatever. They'll be able to find another point guard. They still have T-Bond. They still have Jovi Leifotu. They'll still be able to play Bailey Flevel at the point, and I'm sure they will recruit some others. So not terribly worried.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that up about just the amount of transfers at other Big West schools, because even though we know Hawaii is moving over to the Mountain West next season, I think that's still significant, even being that there is technically a coaching vacancy right now, to see that there aren't a bunch of players because 3. They can't. Yeah.
And 2 of them just didn't get playtime last year.
Yeah, and so you're like, oh, okay, well, I can understand that.
Them you really wish the best for. You're just because nobody wants to sit the bench. They just don't. I get it. It sucks. Even if you're winning, it sucks. So I really do hope for their sake that they're able to find a place where they might be able to get a better opportunity to get on the court, because I do know Hawaii loved them. They loved Hawaii as they've been here. So that's one where it's just like, whatever. And it should feel that way with Curdy as well. Just by the way, I understand that some people sometimes they take it personally. It's not a personal thing anymore. It just isn't. It's time to move past that part of it.
Just whatever you do, any of this is advice to any players, especially at UH. Do not do what's his name? What was the quarterback at UNLV? Like I'm coming back. Wasn't it Jaden?
Was it? Well, yeah, Jaden Maiava did that. And then was it Calandria? Is that his name?
I think both did it. Yeah. Just don't do that. Don't do I'm coming back for sure, and then enter the transfer portal. That is like daggers to the heart.
The other way around is fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to enter the portal.
And
Never mind,
back,
I'm coming back.
But man,
other way around.
Don't do that. that will just that's what hurts the most. And that's why anytime they announce their intent to, or maybe have this decision, fine, at least it's open and honest, and fine. All that stuff. And then if you choose to come back, yes. But yeah, just don't do that. Unless you really want to burn all your bridges that you may have built in Hawaii, then you can do that.
If you're for sure leaving and you're never coming back to Hawaii, especially for a vacation, it's a great choice for you.
It's not going to happen. Well, let's go. Let's look now, though, at a squad that is very reminiscent. Now, I know we'll get into it. Not every player is born and bred UCLA, but for the most part, it feels like this UCLA Bruins squad, again, just a dominant performance, which I still think is maybe an understatement. Dominant performance over South Carolina, 79-51. And it was just South Carolina just had no answers in that game. They could not deal with the size of UCLA and the composure of UCLA, kind of the very suffocating defense that helped them beat UConn in the semifinal. That just was not working on this UCLA team that is made up of pretty much all seniors, a veteran team, a team that has played together for at least a couple of years as a whole. And I get it, a lot of them did not start at UCLA, and it's kind of funny because they all started though at previous Pac-12 schools, which are no longer Pac-12 anymore, right? Isn't it all their starting five
pretty much
used to be at all formed? They started their careers, except Kiki Rice. Shout out to Kiki Rice, where she is a UCLA through and through. But as we know, Lauren Betts, she started her career at Stanford. Phenomenal story, though, by the way, that she was able to notice that she needed help with her mental and started to speak out about it, even checked herself in or went to her trainer and said, I need to go to the hospital. It's a very emotional story, but able to with the help of her coach and her team, help her get out of that mental state and into this thriving life that she has now. It's a phenomenal story. Encourage you guys to go and look it up if you can, about Lauren Betts and the struggles that she had and now the life that she is able to live now. But their players, Hawkes, I saw a stat, she's the 20-10-5 and one or zero turnovers. She is the only other player to do that in a championship clinching game in D1, NBA, college hoops. The only other player to do that was LeBron James. Yeah. So Hawkes. And it was such a genuine moment, right? At the end, when they were giving out the MVP award for the tournament, and Lauren Betts looked so shocked that it was her, because in that game, and maybe collectively you can understand that maybe Betts had the overall contribution to UCLA's success, but in that game there is no doubt, and her teammates know it. That's why the shock on Betts' face when she said it, when it was named that it was Lauren Betts that was the MVP, and because Hawkes was just incredible.
She was nuts
in that game. But overall, again, this team made up of all seniors, majority of them there for multiple years, led by their point guard in Kiki Rice, who has been there at UCLA. Their coach has been there since 2011, learned a lot from the legendary UCLA coach and John Wooden. So it's the storyline behind everything. And it always feels kind of weird to uplift these schools like a UCLA, which not exactly down in the dumps. They're not a mid-major,
no,
but at the same time, they're not a basketball powerhouse yet. Now
on
the future,
women's side.
On the women's ball, even on the men's side, they went down significantly.
On the men's side.
But now this women's basketball potentially sees a new power, and even the way that Coach Close for UCLA, her coaching philosophy is very reminiscent to our coach here in Laura Beeman. She focuses a lot on her players' mental health and well-being and focusing on them. She even does a thing where she, after practices, she has them kind of jot down in journals, what are your went wells, which is really cool. So Coach Close, she just really emphasizes that and caring for her players more than all of the other things. Everything else is secondary, and she focuses a lot on just the individuals and making sure that they're okay. And then you saw that just what it did this year, what they learned from last year. I think in the post game, she was talking about how last year was one of those You're kind of like enjoying everything, the spectacle of the NCAA tournament. And then they took that feeling of loss last year and essentially took it personally, and they would not be denied this year. It was crazy because they didn't exactly have an easy run to the championship, but once they got to the championship, oh my goodness, they were like, we're here and we are not going home without this national championship trophy. Again, 79-51 in against South Carolina, who is a good basketball team. Don Staley, one of our favorite coaches here in studio. And man, what a game and what a performance by UCLA.
You and I were texting a good bit about this yesterday. I think it was you that said it to me, where part of what makes you root for this UCLA team is kind of the flashes of old-timey college basketball that we fell in love with, where players did stay together. And listen, I understand that not all of them are four-year UCLA Bruins, but I mean, even in this day and age, to get most of your team back from year over year, especially one that made the Final Four, I mean, is practically unheard of at this point, especially for a program that hadn't won a national title in the modern era, in the modern women's era, I should say. And it's like, I don't know. It was very, very fun to watch them because it felt like the power of friendship winning a championship, which was funny. You look at them, and I have this up where it's Brew Wins podcast, Brew Wins, WINS, nice. Good name. And they have kind of the timeline of this group, and I want to go through it real fast because I do think it's fun to look back at. Angela Dugalich commits to UCLA back on May 12th, 2021. Gabriela Jaquez commits to UCLA in July of 2021. Kiki Rice commits to UCLA with a promise to build an elite culture and take the program where it's never been before, November of 2021. March 25th of 2023, Kiki Rice and Gabriela Jaquez's freshman campaigns come to an end in Columbia, South Carolina. Lauren Betts then commits to UCLA that April. The next March, UCLA's season comes to an end at the hands of LSU. So their sophomore campaign comes to a close. Charlize Ledger-Walker commits to UCLA. Tamia Gardner commits to UCLA in 2024. Then November, UCLA takes down number one South Carolina in Pauley Pavilion, bursts on the scene as a true contender. After losing regular season matchups to USC, Lauren Betts drives to the basket, wins the Big Ten title for UCLA. March 30th, 2025, UCLA avenges their Sweet 16 exit from a year prior, beating LSU to advance to the program's first Final Four of the NCAA era. That was last year, guys. Just think about that for a second with UCLA. Junior campaign comes to an end with a loss against UConn in the Final Four. Obviously, UConn was pretty good last year.
Yeah. Kind of had that really good player that went number one.
Yeah, whatever her name is. And then Gianna Neepkins commits to UCLA, the former Utah player who was just a phenomenal scorer. And that's kind of that last reinforcement that the Bruins got. They lost early in this season to Texas. And it's funny because when you look at their final run, they beat Texas for revenge on the way back to the championship. And you remember who they lost to in their freshman season, Gabriela Jaquez and Kiki Rice? They lost at the hands of South Carolina in South Carolina. So it's funny to come full circle, and they finally win a championship together as seniors, sticking together all throughout their career, sticking together as they add new players through the heartbreak of the Sweet 16, of the Final Four, and they make it all the way back, and they beat the team, the program that stood in their way from the very first day. It's a pretty awesome story. I don't know how you can't look at it and be like, this was an incredible year for UCLA. I understand everybody who rooted for South Carolina. Like you mentioned, we loved Don Staley. We love South Carolina in here. But man, oh man, I just think it's great for the sport when you get new champions, when you get things like this. And I'll add one more story about UCLA that I saw today before I hand it back to you that I do think is important, because you brought up how Corey Close runs her program similarly to how we like to see things in Hawaii. And I think Hawaii people can appreciate this. Little anecdote from UCLA women's basketball this season. I apologize, I don't have the actual writer's name themselves, but here's a little snippet. In the next hour, those cans and bottles will be packed into a bag so they can take the flight back to Los Angeles with the newly crowned national champion UCLA Bruins. Behind closed efforts, the entire team regularly gathers these bottles and cans after practices and games. Staffers then take turns returning the recyclables for 5 cents apiece, and later the money is pooled and donated to one of the Bruins' chosen nonprofit organizations. Recently, the UCLA women's basketball team paid for school uniforms and a computer for girls in Tijuana with money collected from these recyclables. The school later sent a photo of the girls watching one of the Bruins games this season. So I just think it's one of those things, you look at it, and man, oh man, it is a perfect representation of what women's basketball is supposed to be right now, where it is a great team, a physical team, a dominant team, but one that is filled with incredible people, one that is coached by a woman who understands both the competitive side of basketball and also the fact that you need to look out for the mental health of these young women and the fact that they are going through so much and combining it to make such an awesome season together. It is a great story, a great team, and just incredible congratulations to UCLA finally breaking through.
Finally, with this, yeah, like it just makes me, it warms my basketball fandom heart and my fandom of college sports. Like wrapping that all up is just how much, it's not like South Carolina didn't deserve it. What Dawn Staley did with that team that didn't necessarily have the same type of star power. Yeah, that they've had before.
I don't think, if you asked Dawn at the start of the year, she'd been like, yeah, we're probably out in the Elite Eight or something like that. Like it's a young team with injuries.
With Tessa Johnson, pretty much.
Yeah, it is. So I don't think they expected to be there in the first place at the start of the season, and obviously you start to believe in yourself as the year goes on. But yeah, and that is something else I said to you. I wanted UCLA to win because I don't know if UCLA is more likely to get back there next year. You could tell me South Carolina gets back there the next 2 years with the squad that they have, and I'd believe you.
Well, that's the good thing, too, with UCLA, and I hope that UCLA, their administration anyways, provides all the resources that this women's basketball team needs, because, and I say that mainly because Coach Corey Close, like I forget, I didn't bookmark it, but she basically has contemplated continuing to coach because she is someone, and it's weird how it's so similar to Coach Beeman because she doesn't necessarily like the era that they're in, but if she gets the support on that side where she doesn't have to worry about it, I think she genuinely loves coaching basketball. She loves caring about all these young women. She loves building them, getting them prepared. She said it before and we've like emphasized similar points on the show where, your 4 years, maybe 5, or how the men like to do it, 6-7 years in college sports. But, for the most part, you have this very handful of years in college to make bigger impacts, but it's so small in like the rest of your life that you have to make a certain impacts now. And she genuinely cares about, again, the purity that once was college sports. And I hope that UCLA, seeing that what the success and attention brings, and especially because we're only in the second year of the unit, so as a administration, you see how much money will come back to your school if your school makes it far. I mean, I don't know how the Big Ten distributes, but nonetheless, they're going to get a piece of making it that far because women's basketball has the units now that they get paid out. So I hope that UCLA does the right thing and they will get Coach Close the resources that she needs to worry about the icky business side of stuff, and that way she can just focus on these are the certain recruits that I want, because she even seems like someone that's not going to pay like for the top dollar, but also it's not as common. Like there's a lot of women entering the transfer portal, but it doesn't seem as common as it is on the men's side where you have a lot of these women that are only out there for the money. Who's going to pay me the highest dollar? Fortunately, shout out ladies. But I do hope, because then we can really see UCLA continue to potentially be a power in women's basketball if Coach Close remains there, because she doesn't have to worry about the part of basketball now that she does not enjoy, and I do not blame her one bit.
I found it interesting that reading a lot of the stuff that came out of the Final Four, there was a quote that was very, very familiar to me, and it was, it's not transactional with her. And I'm like, the Leo meme. Well, wait a second. Well, wait a second. I know that. That's our quote. That's our quote. And it's funny because we did ultimately compare Coach Beeman to Coach Close, at least in the way that they look at the sport. And that is just another thing that I'm like, oh, yeah. It makes me think back to last year when UCLA came to the islands to play against Hawaii. Remember, just by the way, Hawaii was only down 3 at halftime at that and during that game. So we don't need to talk about the second half. Stop it.
Oh, no, I was going to say Lauren Betts had foul trouble in the first half.
That's part of basketball.
It is part
we were down 3. We were down 3 at halftime against the number 1 team in the country. That is, and now the national champion.
This is pretty much the same team, and that's the cool thing, right? Because it was like pretty much the same team Hawaii played against and was only down 3. Again, pay no mind to the actual box score on the first half of that and what player was not in the game.
Listen,
you have to manage foul trouble.
Exactly. She picked up those fouls. That's not our fault. That's not on us.
We'll take it. And like you said, we just won't talk about what happened in the second half. First half, the Rainbow Wahine basketball team, definitely there competing. But man, oh man, what a complete game again from UCLA. I mean, even looking at this, man, all their starters scoring double digits. Like, it was just
what was it?
phenomenal.
They had 170 straight points scored by seniors in the Final Four or something along those lines. It was absurd. One last thing about UCLA, as well as you talk about them potentially reloading going into next year. I did find it funny, might be the wrong word, interesting. It was cool. Lauren Betts' parents, well, I guess Lauren and Sienna Betts' parents.
Oh, yeah.
Kiki Rice's mom. I saw multiple UCLA player parents be like, if any players hitting the portal want to talk about, UCLA, the culture, how we made our decision, blah, 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 always happy to talk about it. I was like, boom, there you go. And that's what winning can do. It was funny to see. It was cool to see. And I do hope UCLA is able to kind of keep up this level of talent. Like, I think they're always going to be good under Coach Close. Like, I don't think they're going to just fall off completely, barring obviously injuries and blah, blah, blah. But like, I hope that this is the start of they start to really become a contender, because I think USC is going to be awesome as well. And man, how awesome for the sport would it be to actually have a rivalry on the West Coast where it's USC, UCLA, 2 legit championship contenders. Like, that'd be awesome for women's basketball. I want that. I want that bad. I know you don't want that as a USC person. I love your Juju and Jazzy. But
Juju and Jazzy. No, I love that for college basketball.
But right, it'd be fun.
No, sorry. I was just thinking, because I'm like, off the top of my head, I'm like, do they have a big at USC? Because they do have Juju and Jazzy. Juju Watkins supposed to come back next season, and they both of them on the court. I can't imagine what's going to look like. But now I'm like, do they have a big? Because they had Ariaffin at one point that was really good down there. So
I'm sure.
We saw what UCLA does with their size, but all those players, or at least Lauren Betts, of course, and some of their other players that won this championship are graduating or are out of eligibility. So this is the time for USC to try to reload, probably compete with UCLA in the transfer portal, and then see what happens heading into next season. But I agree with you 100% that no matter what, Juju is just my favorite player. It's not like I'm a diehard USC alum or fan or anything.
I know. I just like
and then it's funny because I've mentioned this before, that UCLA was my dream school, mainly because I was a UCLA basketball fan first because of Jason Capono, who was there. So I was like, yeah, UCLA. And then but it's nice that the women were the first to win it. And especially, and we'll talk about the men's tournament in a little later, but the 2 teams that I was cheering for to make the men's final, neither of them made it. I was like, at least 50%, like one of them maybe will make it, but none of them, that being Arizona and Illinois. So I texted with you and I was like, well, leave it to the women to make sure the team I'm cheering for on the women's side took care of business. Even more so than I ever thought they were going to do. But at least I could be happy and excited about the women's basketball champ on that side. And yeah, it's going to be exciting heading into next season for what can happen in terms of the rivalry on the West Coast. And UCLA, we'll talk about it a little later on just the business side of UCLA, as if you guys weren't aware that they are one of the athletic departments that probably have like the biggest financial deficit in their athletics department. So this is a step in the right direction. Their men's team, as much as McCronin is annoying, they're still competitive and they still at least make it like a couple rounds in the NCAA tournament. But I wonder if they get, sorry, I'm just like, I wonder if they ever talk. Their personalities just seem so
Corey
different.
Close and Mick Cronin?
Yeah.
Not a shot. They might say hi to each other as they cross
those
paths.
Personalities.
There is not a shot that they are friends. No way. No way. There are some things that I can imagine where it's like, oh, opposites attract. I cannot imagine those two having anything in common to talk about.
You don't think they ever hang out in the office or
not even a little? I don't even know if their assistants would hang out. I genuinely don't. I couldn't fathom it. Oh my God.
Anywho, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back to bring it back home and talk some University of Hawaii men's volleyball when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Streaming live at hawaiisportsradio.com and on demand wherever you get most podcasts.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on our YouTube channel as well, or at hawaiisportsradio.com, or on our new app. So check it out. So,
dude, the app works awesome.
Yep. Google Play, App Store, download today. You can get our streaming players, some news articles, a little mix of stuff that you see on our website and Hawaii Athletics to keep you guys updated. We have direct links to all of our social media handles. You got our podcast there, which available now most recently is our play-by-play broadcast from Saturday for OIA softball between Moanalua and Kalani. Moanalua now the top of the OIA East. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but again, you can get our podcasts and stuff or our play-by-play on demand, so that's something that's available for you guys as well, along with this show and some other stuff and some exciting things that we'll plan for in the fall.
We continue to add new things. That's just kind of what we do over here. But either way, yeah, the app works real well because it allowed me to stay up to date with that game this weekend as I patiently await.
And as everything worked. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because yes, Caesar, I am going to go on paternity leave at some point. Thank you, by the way, Caesar, for stopping on in. Anybody who wants to get in on the conversation, shoot us a text at 808-888-5481. I had to stop myself from saying the old thing, 808-888-5481.
Lit one.
Or drop a comment in the YouTube chat. Yes, I will be leaving on paternity leave this week at some point, I think. But for now, you're stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were mentally preparing that it was going to happen. I mean, that's why Michael Iscaro is out in the bullpen right now. So, like I said, if you're just joining, you might be able to see him now and then pop in here. We'll also have him jump in here real quick to preview the HPU versus Chaminade baseball game that we are going to bring you coverage of coming up later this afternoon at 2:00 p.m. Same thing. You can listen to it on the app or on our websites or on demand if it ends up as it tends to be exciting games between HPU and Chaminade. Hopefully, it's like every day is a surprise. The last few broadcasts have been great with our new system, but I still have like PTSD of our first broadcast we did and our Sharks Weekly where I'm like, something's got to go.
Until proven otherwise, I always believe something is going to go wrong.
But so far, we are 2 for 2 in the last couple of broadcasts. So we're doing pretty good here, and hopefully it continues that way. All right, let's go over to some University of Hawaii sports, though, really quick. Dang, sorry. I was like,
what are you doing?
I swear it was like 40 or 38, like not too long ago.
Oh, God, we chat so fast. Or so
and
much.
now it just like went by. But University of Hawaii men's volleyball, and I'm assuming that they're going to be, well, I don't know. UCLA went down. Nah, I don't think so,
but I'm curious. I thought the same thing.
And I know in hindsight, we always bring it up. We always say it. I know the final poll really means, or the national rankings really mean nothing in the scheme of things, but it's always fun to see like when your team is ranked pretty high, right? Like, so Hawaii, I can't imagine just that one loss that UCLA took to Pepperdine. I don't know if it's as significant, but Hawaii makes a case though, because they continue their winning and dominant ways in men's volleyball, going out on the road Friday. Close one, little scary one, but nonetheless come out with that 5-set win. And it was ugly. 2 red cards. Oh my, and then I did not see the, so like I'm still trying to like do stuff for our broadcast, and then like I kind of have the game on, but then I'm also like have basketball, so I'm not entirely paying attention to the men's volleyball game. And so I did not see what happened in the Tread Rosenthal's red card until like after the match, and then, because I saw it on social media, and I was just like, oh. So for those of you guys who did not see it, basically it was the team was frustrated and they were not playing. They were just playing very sloppy, and it was very frustrating for this men's volleyball team, very undisciplined. But it was a frustrating play in which Irvine gets the point, and then Tread kicks the volleyball out of frustration. And as it would have it, the volleyball hits the ref, the upper ref, in the face. And then Tread is just like, and he's like, I'm sorry. And that's naturally going to be a red card. But it was just so...
it was so
the
funny.
fact that I didn't like see it in real time, and I had to, and I was just like, what? That's how he got the red card.
So I was obviously I was trying to cover the match while also playing chauffeur for a doctor's appointment for my wife. You had texted 2 red cards, and I'm just like, what? So, of course, I'm the one who I'm writing the recap for this, so I had to go back and watch because I'm just like, well, I got to write about the red cards. Like, it's an important part of the story. I went back and I watched both of them. I'm just like, are we kidding? I'm like, guys, are we kidding? Because I remember Louis got his red card because he verbally accosted an official.
Yeah. That's Louis.
And that's kind of what I expected, was just like, hey, sometimes it happens, whatever. It's like a free point. And I think I saw somebody say, like, Tread kicked a ball and it hit a ref, and I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, what could have happened that made Tread so angry? Because Tread's competitive, but he's very respectful to the officials, real nice kid. I'm like, what could have happened that made him kick a ball like that? I go back and I watch it. Literally, it was just like he was pissed off at himself. He kicked the ball and it hit the ref. And it was just like he was so embarrassed. And Adrian's red card was even funnier because he was more pissed off at himself and he just slammed the ball into the floor. I'm like, guys, are we serious?
It was just such a sloppy game. Once again, I mean, fortunately, they came out with the win, but everything about it was just ugly.
It was so funny.
In that Friday match, the set scores, Hawaii takes the first one 25-22, then 19-25, 23-25, able to come out with that fourth set win 25-23, and then 18-16 in that fifth and final set to take it in 5. And then Saturday, a lot more composed, maybe an understatement. I remember my group chat, my group text of all of the dedicated UH fans, but also a lot of them are like very like dedicated men's volleyball fans specifically. They actually made the trip to Long Beach when they went and everything like that. That Friday match, they were just like so frustrated. They're like, "What are they doing?" Like, because it was just like not. It's just infuriating when you're like, why is this team playing just so reckless and just so almost like emotional in the bad way? It was just ugly volleyball, right? And especially because the expectation, that's always the case, right? The expectation is up here. We were just talking about after or Friday show, like this team, when they serve well and they play clean volleyball, like they make a case for the best team in the country.
Oh, yeah.
But then they have games like this on the Friday night and you're like, what are you guys doing? But then they shake it off and then they come back and in true UH men's volleyball fashion, they have a much better performance and sweep the end. 25-22, 25-22, 25-22 in all 3 sets. Again, it's not like they were blowout sets, but nonetheless, 3 straight wins there to get them that sweep. They do come back home, or they are back home now. And then I think Charlie says they leave on Wednesday to go back on the road at UC San Diego. And then it's already senior weekend in a couple of weeks as they host CSUN April 17th and 18th at Bank Arena at Stan Sheriff Center. Big West Championships are the last weekend of April, starting on the 23rd. It's just rolling by as we fit in everything else that's going on that we got to cover here. But,
rolling.
Just real quick, though, I want to let you guys hear from what head coach Charlie Wade had to say in the post game following Saturday's match. And it's funny because they say they were like driving. He's like, I don't have the I took this part out, but it's funny to share with the beautiful people that because it was on Zoom and everything, and then Charlie was like, I don't have the stats, and then Derek's like, oh, well, email you the stats, and he's like, I'm driving
to Chipotle. And then he quickly changed because they weren't going to Chipotle.
It was In-N-Out, right?
Yes.
After, because I know at the end they were asked like what their In-N-Out order is.
Yes. But he said Chipotle originally, and then I believe it was Adrian Rohr and Justin Todd in the car with him. And they quickly jumped in to correct him that it was In-N-Out, not Chipotle. Obviously, with all of the hubbub that happened with Chipotle earlier this season as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I totally forgot about that.
We
probably don't want to go to Chipotle. Anywho, here is just a snippet of what head coach Charlie Wade had Saturday's match, and Brian McInnes of Spectrum News starts things off.
Hey, Coach Wade. How'd you feel about how you guys came out for that third set to really kind of put a stranglehold on your 2 days there?
Yeah, it was good. You know, we had been defending well all night, and really wanted to start off strong to end that. Not hang around long. We have to get out of there in 3 and start getting ready for next week.
And just kind of repeating what you guys did at Long Beach to remain unbeaten on top of the standings. What do you think that says about this group and two tough places that you guys have come out with everything?
I don't know if we've ever gone 4-0 on the road at those since the Big West has started. When we have to play both those guys. It's nice to get like significant road wins in league. Those are really good teams that all have legitimate designs on winning not only a league championship but a national championship, and nice to be able to go into their place and come out on top.
Hey, Coach, you guys had 45 kills tonight. You guys had 44 assists, 37 digs. What do you make of that statistic, and also about Tadrisky as well, and how he's been able to come alive these last couple of matches?
Yeah, we've been good offensively all year. So that's I haven't looked for a week or so, but we've been, if we're not leading the nation in kills per set, assists per set, hitting percentage, we're right there in a very close. We're among the leaders. So nice to come out again and have a good offensive performance against a good team.
Hey, Coach, what do you think of the way you guys, several of your guys, seem to tool the Irvine block tonight? It seemed like, I don't know if they were channeling a little Heno from last couple of years, but just hitting it off at the pins.
It's funny. One of my observations, we should have done more of block out. I thought we were a little, call it what you want, stubborn, belligerent, where we had guys just swinging straight into the block, especially in transition. We get a ball back on our side to score a real point. I thought it was something we could have done a better job of.
Yeah, Coach, can you just talk about Christian's weekend, and especially how efficient he was here tonight in leading this team?
Well, it would have been a lot better. Again, he took like 3 errors in that run in the third set, where again, it just a little, over aggressive, whatever, where it could have, transition ball, high set, blocks well formed, and straight into it instead of taking it off the top. But he hits the ball harder than most humans, and usually good things happen. But he's got to be a little more cerebral in those kind of long in the rallies and transition situations.
And also, Quinn had a phenomenal night. Defensively, the numbers aren't going to look insane, but if you watch the match, you see just how difficult your defense made it on on this team, and he played such a big role in that.
Yeah, he dug a couple really hard hit balls that got by the block untouched, and those are, while they're still only 1 point, those are the kind that are a little more than one, because you hit with, you get it by a single block, it's usually a point. So for him to dig it and us to transition score out of it, those are big points.
And Coach, you guys continue the road trip. You guys got UC San Diego up next. So what has to continue from just tonight's match, well, from the last 2 matches until you guys play UC San Diego?
Yeah, we'll come home tomorrow morning and fly back out Wednesday. Kind of our usual weekly schedule. Guys get a chance to sleep in their own bed Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. But again, it's just, continue to improve. We had some really good service turns late, especially in that second set when we weren't good early, and just being, both productive and efficient, stuff that we've kind of prided ourselves on over time. And, the great wins against some really good teams here, but they, like I said, they all count the same. We gotta get down to San Diego and play with the same level of urgency, efficiency, and try to scrape out a couple more wins.
And that was UH men's volleyball head coach Charlie Wade following their sweep over UC Irvine on the road there this past weekend. Once again, Hawaii just continuing to dominate, mainly specifically in that second night. And then as they get set to go back to the continent to play UC San Diego, we'll talk about that matchup coming up a little later in the week. But main thing is you guys mark your calendars for in a couple of weeks, April 17th and 18th, the last time already that you guys can see this men's volleyball. Well, actually,
maybe. The NCAA has its druthers. I'm sure it's the last time, but
if the
Hawaii might
NCAA
not.
is, I mean, I know you do have to see what happens in the tournament, but should Hawaii win the tournament, then.
I was gonna say Hawaii just shouldn't give them a choice.
But like the NCAA hates men's volleyball, so
They like unironically like they do. It should be a more glamour sport. I've talked about this
Yeah.
before, where it's fast enough moving that. I don't know. I watch cornhole on ESPN.
Yeah.
You're telling me you can't get like one high level men's volleyball
they have
game on
like
there a week?
those random sometimes and this isn't on the main network, but it's on like one of the networks. And that's the thing, we're not asking to put men's volleyball on the
I'm
main
not saying
network.
put it on ESPN or
But,
ESPN2. Put it on
it's like they have
ESPN2.
like that weird sometimes that kickball league too. That's like I don't know.
I will say I don't want to be on ESPN the Ocho, so I'm not asking for that.
Yeah, we'll just
I may as well keep us on ESPN Plus if we're asking for that.
yeah. But nonetheless,
Plus
I mean,
a
if
game
you
a
want
week on
to,
ESPNU,
if you do want to like grow the sport, which I honestly don't think the NCAA does, but we can be optimistic about it because you would want a ESPN2, ESPNU game for the NCAA tournament hosted by Hawaii just because
that
of the fans.
environment,
Just
dude.
because of the fans. Like the sold out crowd that will descend into Manoa, into the stand for
a
a
national
regional
tournament game.
Like that will be in, and honestly, I think Hawaii fans love volleyball so much here that they will go to what would be like the first round game because it would be basically if you guys forget they're gonna have different regional sites. Each regional site's gonna have 3 teams, and then the highest ranked team in that region gets the bye, and the 2 teams will play each other first. So I honestly think you would get fans to go and watch like whoever else is playing and who will play the University of Hawaii. Not as many fans, of course, but I think that would still
you
look
get some,
cool.
that's
Yeah,
for sure.
Like
More than you would in other areas.
Yeah. So come on.
I mean, shoot, we just talked about it. Hawaii volleyball gets like. What was the attendance this past weekend at Irvine? 2,400? It wouldn't shock me if 1,200 of them were Hawaii fans.
Yeah,
It might have
there
been
were a
a
lot.
50-50 split.
There were a lot.
Like, Hawaii fans travel, let alone allowing them to just stay. And
For a very important match.
right, and essentially scout. I mean, shoot, half the island would love to just help scout, I'm sure.
Yeah, depending on how it is. And forgive me, I did say that I was going to look it up to see where I saw like somebody posted the predictions of the different regions and stuff. So hopefully I can find that. Anyways,
Feeling under
back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani with Paul Brecht. Maybe for the last time in April. We'll see. Michael Lascaro waiting out in the bullpen. We'll see what happens. We are just taking it day by day. It feels so true, though. Michael saying that, I was like,
laughed literally
totally,
for
like,
I think 15 minutes last night I laughed at that. Just tickled me. It was funny because you're right. It does feel exactly like
warming
that,
up.
where you'll come on out of the dugout and you'll tap your wrist or you'll point to the bullpen and you'll say, all right, Michael, it's time to come on in. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm excited for whenever because I'm excited to hear Michael's takes. We don't get those all the time anymore. So, it'll be good time to hear you two chop it up.
Well, don't forget too, though, like when it happens, if you if she goes into labor tomorrow morning, you're going to have to give us the play-by-play.
Oh, trust. I've been told by multiple people, including our midwife, that I need to prove my worth in my my profession. So I have been preparing. I've got my note cards ready. I got my little manila folder with all the little notes. And what more could you possibly need? I'll be ready to go. It won't be on the HSRN app, unfortunately, for everybody. I don't think I'll have the wherewithal to plug on in the system. But yeah, I'll make sure to have a little play-by-play rep while we're in there.
So funny. Paul, however, or Michael, excuse me. Michael he actually is hanging out in our, I don't know, hangout room.
Lounge.
Yeah, our lounge, which will double as our podcast recording area eventually as one of our summer
viewing
projects.
studio.
Yeah,
for games.
Exactly. So any of you guys that hang out with us on YouTube, thank you very much. Michael, speaking of, is chatting with jump in there, or you can text us at 808-888-5481 if you do want to get in on the conversation. But for some of our friends on YouTube, especially those that are watching outside of Hawaii, we always love to hear you guys and hang out with you from Australia to Boise to Alabama to New York. So we have all of our viewers from all across the continent and the world, because heading into the fall, we do want to potentially start kind of like these viewing parties on our YouTube channel, because we have an area where you can have basically watch the game with us. Obviously we can't show you the game, but you have the game on your end and we are watching it, and then the camera is facing us and we can chat on the YouTube and you can get our initial reactions to stuff that are happening. I know there is going to obviously be delays back and forth, but it'll still be fun that we can hang out and talk story with you guys via YouTube. So that is definitely something that we're working on for next season, is maybe when there's big UH games that are on the road or something, especially considering we'll see what happens with the new media rights deals that for UH, or maybe big college or NFL games. We'll see. It'll be fun to kind of do these watch parties. One of the new things that we're doing out here in the fall. Let's see. What is Michael talking about in this huge? Yeah.
Still crazy to me.
Well, what is your initial reaction? Just real quick, Paul.
Interesting whatever Chicago is doing. I think they're just outwardly tanking at this point, which has reached women's basketball, but there are a couple of prospects that you'd feel good enough about. So I guess I would understand that. I don't know. A little bit weird in Chicago. Feel bad for Sky fans. Just pumped for Angel Reese to get out
Atlanta?
of sent to the Atlanta Dream. Really excited for her. I think that is a great move for her. I think it could be really fun. First, I just think Chicago is a mess in general. And two, I don't know, I like Atlanta. I think that they could be a real foe that everybody, it's fun to hate on her, but size does do legitimate things in women's basketball just as it does in men's basketball. She's a phenomenal rebounder, and you wonder if a potentially more competent organization in Atlanta could help further her development, because she's always been a phenomenal basketball player, but you wonder how much further her ceiling is. Can somebody take a little bit more out of it? So I'm excited by it for her sake, for Atlanta's sake. Feel bad for Chicago fans, but yeah, weird trade. Nah.
I do like that the I mean, clearly we love that the popularity and attention of women's basketball continues to grow. But because of that attention, now the pressure is on to have competent organizations. So you will start to see like because I think for a little while it's like, you know, they would maybe hire coaches and didn't really care necessarily how the teams performed in a sense, right? Like it was just the owners of these teams didn't really invest in it and they didn't really care. But now that there are so many more eyeballs, now that there's a massive media rights deal, like the pressure is on to match the investments that were done by Mark Davis or that was done by the Tsai family for the Liberty, right? So I do like that. This will hopefully, it's still kind of in that in-between phase where some of these organizations are just still poorly run, but at least it's moving in that direction where it feels like, all right, they're going to really take these coaching hires a lot more seriously and then make coaching decisions really quickly, like what happened in like Dallas. So that's a good thing where the sport itself and the quality of the product will only continue to get better because there will be more care into investing in this. And now, don't get me wrong, there is still a chance where you do have at least a couple, I would say one or two, just because there aren't that many teams to begin with, where you'll have maybe owners that will continue to not care, like we see in the NBA and in the MLB especially, but which is unfortunate. But it does seem like it's trending in the direction where most of these franchises in the WNBA are like, oh, we should probably invest in women's basketball and pay attention and actually put out a quality product because of all of the eyeballs. So not sure what Chicago's doing. You guys know I love that city. So I hope they figure things out. But hopefully Angel Reese finds the success that she definitely deserves as well.
I mean, she's a quality basketball player, quality professional. And I know that there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's going to reinvigorate that fan base a little bit more. I mean, you look on Instagram and you see the Atlanta Dream. Just look into their comment section. You've got people like Coco Gauff saying, well, I guess I need to make a trip now and stuff like that. That is another reason you make this type of move if you are the Atlanta Dream. And we've talked so much about NIL in the past and whatever. Angel Reese is one of those players that you can actually talk about name, image, and likeness and the legitimate pull that her name, that her brand has, the Bayou Barbie, all of these different things. And I know that she's this like lightning rod figure similar to Caitlin Clark where you either love her or you hate her, but I love this for the Atlanta Dream. It just from both a business side and a basketball side, this is awesome for them.
Ooh, looking forward to this upcoming season already.
Well,
it's going to be around the corner.
Fast.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, it is going to be WNBA season here in no time. And I'm going to just think of like some of these stars on the NBA side, and I mean, Luka Doncic, like, whatever happened with that? Like, Paul's like, and whatever is going on with the NBA. So everybody, WNBA this season. All right. Speaking of going back over to basketball though, for the March Madness side, we talked about the women's championship UConn and the 1 seed in Michigan. Now we didn't really get to that great of Final Fours. I mean, I guess the UConn Illinois game was kind of decent for the most part. I mean, UConn, they just had one of those games, those shooting games that you just like Illinois necessarily didn't get dominated in a sense, but when like
did they get some bad breaks on some of their shots, man.
It's like UConn just all of the mono went to UConn when it came to their outside shooting, but 71-62 in that semifinal, the 2 versus a 3 seed, 2 seed advances. But I mean, whatever job there that has been done in Illinois. And then on the flip side, Arizona, I believed in you.
This one was pretty surprising.
This was, I mean, we talked about it before where and I was really confident, and this is why you play the games, that whatever team came out of this Arizona-Michigan game would be the team that could potentially win the championship no matter who they faced. But now I'm like, well, if UConn somehow can shoot the way that they did against Illinois and Michigan just continue to do Michigan things, we could get a pretty interesting final here. Michigan is the 6.5 point favorite. Again, this game coming up later this afternoon, just before 3:00 p.m. But yeah, that Michigan-Arizona game, I actually took a nap because I'm like, this is just boring, ugly basketball. And I was cheering for Arizona and I was frustrated, but it's okay. I mean, our bestie, Elliot Cadeau, is on Michigan. If you guys remember, Paul had a chance to interview Elliot a couple of seasons ago when UNC stopped over to play the University of Hawaii. I know our Michael Iscaro is a big Michigan fan, so I guess fandom-wise, we're cheering for Michigan. They haven't won in a while, UConn, all that whole thing. But I think it's still going to be a fun matchup coming up this afternoon.
I think it's going to be a super fun matchup because, well, one, I'll start with Arizona, Michigan. That one was disappointing just in the matter of I really thought it was going to be incredibly competitive. I guess looking back on it, Michigan did put the smackdown on Gonzaga earlier this year, like by 40 points, and everybody thought that was going to be a super awesome matchup. Tommy Lloyd did come from Gonzaga, so I wonder if it's just kind of a matchup thing where Michigan's got the number of the system that the Zags run, which ultimately is kind of what Arizona does as well. Either way, also Arizona, they shot horribly. I thought Michigan had a great game plan. It's funny, I've seen so much conversation about the backboard passes / missed shots for Elliot Cadeau because you have people who like don't believe that. My dad taught my middle school basketball team to do that, like in 8th grade. So I can't say it's like shocking that idea would come out at the college level. It's an incredibly great idea. It's very, very smart.
I mean, it's legal.
Right, considering all but like I've seen so many people be like, oh, sure, okay, Cadeau, like what an excuse for Cadeau to shoot so poorly. I'm like, no, that's like a legitimate thing, is you can just kind of essentially throw backboard passes because you want to get the big out of the way. And it was a great game plan. Dusty May is a phenomenal coach, man. I mean, he is incredibly impressive. I think that's what I am most excited about with this national championship matchup is it's two coaches that I have an unbelievable amount of respect for, where Dusty May, you look at him and he's almost aura farming throughout this entire tournament, where, I mean, he's out scouting in the first half, the final four of the other game, and, people talk, I've never seen a coach do that, yada, 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 and then his team comes out and beats the life out of an Arizona squad that all of us believed was, I mean, one of, if not the best team in the country, and all of these different things. And then on the other side, this is going to make people uncomfortable. We're talking about a coach who's doing things that we haven't seen since John Wooden in Dan Hurley. Like, this is an opportunity for UConn to win their 3rd national championship in 4 years. I don't think people really saw this UConn team as a national championship contender at the start of the year. I certainly didn't. But the facts are the facts, and they're 18-1 now after the Sweet 16. Like, they are unbelievable if they get past the first round. They just know how to win in March. They're physically imposing. They're ready for the war that March Madness brings. And Michigan has dominated physically against a lot of teams, Arizona included, which I did not expect. That's going to be important for them again. If UConn is able to match that physicality, and I do wonder how much does that play a factor today, because he said maybe it's a sprained MCL, some sort of knee injury along with an ankle injury, and that is the best player for Michigan. Does that change things? Does that give UConn the potential in that they need to make this a competitive game? And we've seen the Huskies, they've just got some magic when it comes to March, whether it's Braylon Mullins, the hometown kid back in Indiana. Does he have another special moment in him? You've seen Terrace Reed Jr., who started his career at Michigan. He gets to potentially win a national championship against the program that he started his career at. Like, that's a really cool storyline. I'm really excited for this game just because I expect Michigan to win. I just do. I think they might be one of the best teams in college basketball history. But man, oh man, you just can't take it away from this UConn squad where they believe every single night that they've got an opportunity to win the game. They are out-talented in this one. I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. There is more talent on the Michigan bench, on the Michigan sideline, than there is for UConn. But for one game, and Dan Hurley did say this, we're lucky we don't have to play a 7-game series against them.
True.
On Monday night, we just got to play one great basketball game. and they have to play one not so great basketball game. That's all that it takes. So
And I mean,
we'll see.
That is all that it takes. I just asked. I remember texting you. Just asked South Carolina against UConn.
Correct.
If they played a 7-game series, I feel like UConn could have came out on that. I mentioned earlier, or like was texting you about it, that I think if UConn had advanced to the women's championship, they probably would have put up a better, more competition against UCLA. I still think UCLA would have won, but I think the game would have been a lot more competitive. But that's all it took. UConn, we didn't really talk too much about that semifinal game. UConn, South Carolina played unbelievably well. Their defense, they came out with the perfect defensive plan. I mean, they were clicking on all cylinders, and UConn was just playing horrible. Like, we know Gino Auriemma got frustrated and all of that stuff that transpired after that, whatever. But yeah, it was one of those, like, if they played a 7-game series, UConn probably would have came out on that. So Dan Hurley, I mean, that's his counterpart too in UConn.
funny.
But it's 100% right in college basketball. Like, you don't have to play a series. So you just, I mean, if they, like I said, if they shoot like they did against Illinois, and you'll
All
see
it
what
takes is
happens
one.
with Michigan. But I guess we are, I don't know. For Michael Lascaro's sake, I mean, I know he's cheering for Michigan out there, but
You guys are more than welcome to cheer for Michigan.
I do. So I'm one of those, like, I'm pretty neutral. I just want a good game. I
I was
want it
going
to
to say,
be.
I just don't want to see a
blowout.
shellacking like
Yeah.
we just saw.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all we'll hope for in this men's final. I forget. I was going to say something else, but now I forget. Oh yeah, when it's like, no, because I was thinking about with Danny Hurley and how it's really cool. We talked about it a little bit last week, how he has stuck at UConn, and if he continues to build this type of continued success, they can find ways to continue to keep him. I honestly don't think he would ever leave for another institution at this point. It seems like
No,
he's very comfortable
it's
at UConn.
NBA or bust. I
Yeah,
think.
but even then, I'm like, but he's really good for college basketball, and kind of keeping UConn and that brand of basketball at the top, and kind of matching the women's side and the success that they've been doing there as well. So I hope he continues to stay. At least there's no worry. I would be shocked if he left for another institution. And similar, I would be a little surprised too if he did leave to go to the NBA, because once you kind of figure out what works and everything, especially because he seems to have no problem with the professional style of college sports in terms of NIL and managing all of that, I'm like, I would love for him to continue to stay there. And even Dusty May, like, to keep a Michigan program competitive and not just go to like your traditional, unless you're coming to Kansas, then it's okay. Bill Self said he's returning, but
He'll retire eventually.
come over to Kansas. Don't go to any of you, the top coaches. You're going to stay at your
Stay at
schools.
your institution until
Unless
Kansas's
it's
job
Kansas.
opens.
Then you're more than welcome to come on over. No, but I was thinking of, because on the flip side, say if Arizona had beaten Michigan, got to the championship, like, how much does, even the fact that Arizona made it this far, how much do you think that pains Gonzaga fans, considering, because Tommy Lloyd is from the Mark Few tree. He was like his top assistant for like 20 years. And then if you're Gonzaga and then you see, and I know it's like different circumstances when you go to different schools, but it's just the, like, seeing the top assistant go elsewhere and do significantly better than what you've seen and I don't, this is not me saying like Mark Few should get fired whatsoever. I think he's built a good program there at Gonzaga. I'm just saying internally, it'd almost be like if we, like here at UH, right? Like if you saw Brad Davidson go to like a Big West or Mountain West school and then instantly be like way better than Hawaii, and like the discourse that would happen with the Hawaii fandom. So think of it in this case, the discourse that must be going on with the Gonzaga fan base, seeing a top assistant for a long time under your current head coach, because they have underachieved and underperformed by Gonzaga standards.
Arizona fans are pissed.
Really?
They want him fired.
Okay.
They
Well-
want him to accept the UNC job retroactively. It's hilarious. Nobody is ever happy with their coach. That's why I was over here smiling the whole time, because yes, I get your point in terms of like, it does suck whenever you're just like, oh, we had that guy. Like, because I think that with my professional teams all the time. All of the time.
And with Syracuse.
Jesus H. Murphy. No, we got that right.
Yeah,
finally.
yeah,
We got it right finally.
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it is one of those things where it's just like fan bases are never happy. Where it's just like Gonzaga fans are probably like, man, we would love to have Tommy Lloyd still, like a new fresh blood. Arizona fans are just like, this guy can't get over the hump. It's unbelievable.
They're not even
It's
at,
their
like,
first Final Four in 25 years or whatever it is. It's just
they're like not even. They're still like far away from the hump to be like, we can't get over the hump.
It is, but that's what I mean. It's like fans are just sometimes they are so ridiculous. It is very, very funny in general. But Hurley, it's going to be interesting. I don't think he will leave college. I don't think Dusty May is looking to actively leave college. I know there's like this. He turned down the UNC job, quote unquote, and said that he is not going to pursue any college jobs. And everybody was like, "Oh, what interesting wording, college jobs." Does that mean he's looking at the NBA? I don't really see him leaving Michigan anytime soon, just because they seem to give him whatever he wants, and he, like Hurley, has seemingly figured out what he wants to do in college. Hurley, there's also just a funny story of like he doesn't want to piss off his wife.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason he didn't take the Lakers job. And then also on top of that was like he actually talked to his former boss at St. Benedict's High School in New Jersey, and he was just like, "You're crazy for even considering leaving UConn because you are just abhorrently awful whenever you lose, and your wife is going to kill you if you take an NBA job because you will lose a lot more than you will at UConn. So no, you shouldn't take this job."
Also, like if we go back, the kryptonite to Dan Hurley is the Maui Invitational. So
it's the only place that he loses. It's the only place he loses.
Bring the national championship out of here in Maui and see what happens. See the crash out that this. I know this will never happen, but the crash out that Dan Hurley will never play in Maui ever again.
Oh, it's so funny, man. So funny.
Which, speaking of, is kind of exciting. A couple of new cities coming up for the next couple of Final Fours for the men's side. Next year's in Detroit, which is really cool. Shout out to Tamara Tabor. She used to work here for ESPN events here in Hawaii, and now she left here to go be, I don't know her exact job title, but she basically works for like similar to an ESPN events, but of Detroit. So she helps with like putting together these massive events, whether it be for the NFL or concerts and stuff that go on. So I know she was in Indianapolis because they have to do kind of their recon and see in preparing for their upcoming hosting. And then the year after, so what is this? 29 is Las Vegas. Let's go.
Vegas,
so
baby.
Radio Row. HSRN. We might see you there in Las Vegas for the men's Final Four, which would be pretty cool. Sadly, the last place or the place I saw my Kansas Jayhawks win in New Orleans, but this is where it's important to kind of make sure you have the infrastructure in place, because when we look at here in Hawaii how there is no stadium, there are definitely a lot of improvements that can be made to the infrastructure. New Orleans essentially has lost the Final Four because they have not been able to invest in a lot of the infrastructure stuff. And I had just gone in, 2022? That's when Kansas won. But if you look through the list of future venues, and I remember reading about this in Sports Business before, but essentially they lost the opportunity to host the Final Four and improve their infrastructure. So it's not like it only happens in Hawaii where we can't get big events. These other places and cities that used to host these big time sporting events, if they don't reinvest a lot of stuff into their current situation, and then you have places like Las Vegas, like Detroit, who has done incredible things to kind of clean up that main area and really make improvements, all of these other cities are going to be granted these major events that feed into the economy there when everyone comes into town and all of those things that come back to your city. But if certain places don't make these investments that are required or requested from these big time events, going to lose out to other cities, like all these up and coming big cities. Once again, Las Vegas and Detroit, the upcoming two host sites for the men's Final Four comes to mind, because not seeing New Orleans, where I was just there. But even when I was there, it was like not, if I think about, I've never been to Detroit, but if I think about going to a big event in Las Vegas, and this is even taking my bias for Las Vegas out, like it's just a lot better of a hosting city, tons of hotel rooms, restaurants in walking distance. Clearly, they have the venues to host everything. But I thought that was something interesting when I think about Las Vegas hosting all of these big events. And then you have somewhere like New Orleans that had the glitz and glamour. I mean, I know in Hawaii, it'll always hold a special place here for the Sugar Bowl and all of that stuff. And it'll continue to host events like that. But being that they lost the Final Four, it's pretty significant and something that we can kind of look at here when we think about be getting back to a point where they can host big events and professional events at the new Aloha Stadium.
It's funny just how much just the inflection or the influx of money that comes with the local tourism from these events. It is important. I know it seems silly, but it really, really is important. And it's happens fast too, how quickly you can be obsolete in today's day and age. Because I remember thinking, New Orleans, I think of New Orleans as like a phenomenal place to host. And it's funny because it really is not comparatively to other events and spaces at this point, which is sad.
Now, I will say, and this was the one thing that New Orleans did have over other host places, but now, as I just mentioned, Las Vegas, because New Orleans does have a casino there where you can go and place bets, which isn't the same for all of these host cities, speaking specifically about the Final Four. But now you put Las Vegas in there and you're like, well, there's a lot of places where people can go and have fun during their downtime. But it is kind of funny. And Mike brought this up. He's like, well, we'll see how many coaches have jobs after it's hosted in Las Vegas. Because if you guys don't know, we talked about this last week, is like at the different men's and women's Final Four host sites, it's kind of like this overall like coaches convention in a sense. There's different events. There's ways to like meet different coaches, potentially look at jobs. But I'm like, whoa, you get this fun city there that you have a lot of stuff to do. So like, what was that one coach?
A lot of networking conversations.
It was like that former like Texas Tech coach, I think. He was like at UNLV for a minute and then went, but like he had drinking problems.
Well, I was going to say that's like a dime a dozen of coaches.
Anyways, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Streaming live at hawaiisportsradio.com and on demand wherever you get most podcasts.
Up in the stars,
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Escarrow tapping in here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com and via our YouTube channel. Shout out and hello to everybody joining us right now. And then also you can catch it on demand wherever you get most podcasts. Well, Michael tapping in here because as we mentioned, coming up later this afternoon, we will bring you coverage of HPU versus Chaminade in some Pac West baseball action out at Hans Larange Park. Game time is at 2:00 p.m. So be sure you guys tune in for that. Same thing on the app or on or not on our YouTube channel or our app or on our website at hawaiisportsradio.com. Now the HPU Sharks sitting at 15-15 overall, but 13-11 in Pac West Conference play. Once again, getting ready to play host to Chaminade. It will be a doubleheader actually going on this afternoon in just a 2-game series. To remind everybody, in the first game, HPU coming out with that win 11-7 a couple of weeks ago on March 24th, and then play a couple of games today. But we will only bring you coverage of the first game of that, and then the teams will close out their regular season series / it will be senior night for the HPU Sharks on April 22nd, which we will also have for you guys on Hawaii Sports Radio Network. But I wanted to have Michael in here because he will be on the call with Kyle Galdera again this afternoon as he subs in for Paul, just in case, like I said, we don't want to stress out Paul and having to be out in Waipahu. And then as the fate would have it, this is when his wife would go into labor and be traffic and everything, trying to rush back to a hospital out here in town. So Paul will just be not chilling. He's never chilling. He'll still be tuning in, working, giving you guys updates until he becomes quite occupied. But we will see what happens. But no, Michael will be tapping in here for the broadcast with Kyle Galdera. So Michael, chiming in here, want to kind of almost like give you the floor in a sense and let our listeners know what we can expect with this upcoming game.
You want me to have the floor, Ku?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first off, in my defense, when we were going through this in the break, I was going over which buttons to press. Never once did I press the show Paul the music button. So that's on Paul for not telling me to press the music button. I did everything in order, but the music button, I was like, where's the music? This is my my freshman time on the board, my freshman year on the board, first one, dry run. So we got out of the kinks, but I bring that up because we have a true freshman starting the mound today in the game we're going to be doing in the freshman left-handed pitcher Nick Blakeney from Las Vegas. So kind of carrying that segue from talk of Las Vegas and the basketball, and now we're getting to this. But yeah, it's going to be every game, as Coach Dane Fujinaka said after their series win against Fresno Pacific, the biggest game of the season is the next one. And right now the Sharks sit in 6th place in the Pac West with a 13-11 record, and they're gonna need to stack these wins. You want to sweep Chaminade. I know that's today. I know it's very tough, especially those rivalry games. Chaminade always, this is Chaminade Super Bowl every time they play HPU as a program on the rise. That's in their 3rd year since a 41-year hiatus. So Chaminade is gonna give HPU stuff and a chance for Nick Blakeney to really show some stuff. The amount of left-handers that the HPU have in their arsenal and their staff, whether it be pitching or starting side or their bullpen side, has kind of been decreased because of some injuries and whatnot. So hopefully he can perform well for the Sharks where they don't have to. I mean, everyone's live pretty much because they last played on Thursday. So arms are pretty much good. So hopefully this will be a good spot for him. He did pitch in that 3rd game against Fresno Pacific, and he also, I think, got his first reps of the season against Point Loma. So kind of been thrown in the fire already. So hopefully against an opponent like Chaminade, where Chaminade, the wins haven't been there for them this season, a good opportunity, because if HPU can get their pitching down, we see with their home runs, right? I mean, we got Tyler Arnold, I think, hitting 2 bombs the last broadcast we were on. And then the next day he hits another bomb, and he's tied for the program career home runs in the program with, I believe, Aaron Asher. So Aaron Asher, he also had the single season home run record that Bronson Rivera beat last year. Tyler Arnold also beat it last year too, if I'm not mistaken. But Bronson Rivera holds the season, single season. But yeah, so maybe a chance at history later this afternoon with Tyler Arnold. Just need one more home run to get that. I think he did hit a home run last time we did ours on the broadcast against Chaminade in that first inning. So that's one guy that HPU, you know, I don't want to put it in the atmosphere, but we might need to get some NIL for our boy Tyler Arnold. But yeah, it's gonna be a good one. The HPU, they're gonna be wearing black on black, so that's normally they're good colors, but lately their good colors have been wearing the baby blue tops and even their white uniform. But Nick Blakeney's starting on the mound. I've never seen him pitch before actually, but I've seen him pinch it, and I've seen him draw a couple like bases loaded walks and like that stuff like that. So hopefully him being able to see the plate and draw walks means he can locate the strike zone.
Yeah, and just to emphasize your point, as you were saying, with the pitching, if that can be more consistent. I mean, you look through a lot of these final scores and whatnot for HPU throughout the season. They haven't exactly been having the same difficulties that the University of Hawaii has been having when it comes to hitting the ball, because this team can score runs. So as long as they can prevent some of the runs on the other side, then with the back half of the season will look really bright. But I want to give you a chance to share a little bit more with the beautiful people going back to the pitching side with our guy out of Waipahu with Jaden Gabrillo, and just what the type of seasons he's been having so far.
He's out of Eva Beach, cool.
But isn't he go to Waipahu?
No.
Campbell.
To Campbell. Got
it.
Cool. That is disrespectful. Jaden Gabrillo, I'm sorry for my friend Cool over here. This
is why I brought you in. You're the expert at HBU baseball.
But he has the theme song, you know, the Evo Beach.
Continue.
But yeah, Jaden Gabrillo, you know, he does his job. He leads the team in wins, so he's I think he's 6-1. His last time out, I think, was a no decision when we did that Fresno Pacific game. But yeah, he's a guy that does really well. Also want to shout out Noah Mukes for getting 4 pitching appearances in 2 days. Insane. And has had family in town. First time his mother has ever seen him pitch in a collegiate game, and he gets 4. Should have had 3 saves, but he just came in the game with 1 run, a little bit over the save count, and probably could have got the win if he stayed in the game in game 3. But I think in game 3, when he came into the game, it was after Fresno Pacific had tied it, right? So he let Coach Dane Fujinaka know, hey, if we have the lead in game 4, I better be in there at some point. And lo and behold, he came in there. He struck out the side, got the last 3 outs of the game in the series win against Fresno Pacific, all on strikeouts. So he's a guy that's been a very great arm out of the bullpen, that left-handed guy, and you know he's a baller. He's tough, and that's what we like to see. Who else we got? Who else are you curious about?
I mean, I just want to know also what Coach Ritchie has done, going back over to the offensive side of things, what he has done and continues to do with the way that this team can hit the ball, right? It's like every year it feels like, or every season we're talking about like, oh, this guy is like a top hitter and breaking this record. And then you feel like, all right, well, maybe next season will be different. And now we have this year with Tyler Arnold, like potentially breaking a record, right? Like, how do you think Coach Ritchie, I know you have chats with this coaching staff and stuff like off air and off broadcast, but what have you kind of seen or noticed, and maybe conversations that you can share insight for us on how HPU is just able, with the help of Coach Ritchie there, be able to be consistently good behind the plate?
Yeah, it comes down to his scouting reports. I think that's the number one thing. It's because Coach Ritchie will tell you that, you know, he wasn't just he's just a okay Division II baseball player, right? But yeah, it comes down to his scouting reports, his clipboard, which he may have broken at one point during the season. But yeah, it's all on the scouting reports. He gets scouting reports for all the opposing pitchers. So however film he's acquiring that, and that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Because I mean, Division II, right? Obviously, the next level up is Division I, or if you're playing pro, and you know, if a baseball player is in Division II, there might be one. You know, we talk about 5-tool player, right? That's what Alan Mia. Sorry, I have to shout out Alan Mia, but that's what we talk about. You know, you want to have is all the tools, and maybe in Division II, like one guy, you know, maybe missing a tool or a half, or you know, something's not sharpened or it's not consistent, and that's kind of the things where this HPU team has been able to capitalize in the hitting department is when, you know, just trust the scouting report, and you know they get it done. I mean, you look at, and we talk about a scouting report because we look at the last game against Fresno Pacific, right? They were down 6-0 and they got 6 runs back in the bottom of the 4th to tie it. It's like, oh, they started hitting. No, they weren't hitting. They just got free passes. You know, they drew walks. I think they scored 6 runs and 2 hits. So like that's not hitting anything, but like that's, you know, knowing the scouting report and watching and looking for pitches that, you know, they're there. I mean, there's this camera that they set up in the outfield that we went to their first pitch, but you know, there's a lot of technology that they have.
Yeah.
So if you got money for technology, you know, that's kind of the game changer, right? So yeah, and then, you know, again, this coaching staff, a lot of the assistants, you know, they're all a lot of former players, right? You got Coach Richie, this is his 3rd year now as on the coaching staff. Last year we had, you know, Caleb Milliken on the coaching staff. He's coaching third base now, and then now we also got Daniel Johnson, you know, coaching the first base coach, and you know, Danjo's saw time at first base and catcher. Troy Harding, who caught last year, is also like a undergrad assistant. I'm not too sure. And there's just a lot of young players. Me and Coach Dane are about we did graduate the high school the same year. So I want to say, other than like Coach Zabs, who's like ancient.
Hey,
everybody else.
Hey, Coach Zabs.
Well,
ancient.
Coach Zabs is ancient.
He's just veteran.
This might be his last year, but everybody else on staff is pretty much under 30, besides Dane and Coach Zabs. So, it's a young staff, and you can connect with the boys, and that, you know, it's easier. It's easier for like younger players. It's easier to listen if like players just literally just played their season and they've walked the talk and they've done it.
And when you have a coach like Coach Dane, who is very expressive after wins, especially.
Well, he's also expressive. During games, because he was wanting to get a strike call, but the first base umpire was not giving it to his guy Jacob Vanek on the mound, because that was a big moment. But I mean, from that moment, HPU kind of took off that day. So he said it wasn't intended, but he let the umpire know that it's on you, and you know, and to figure it out. But and the umpire eventually came over and was like, "That's enough. You know, anything more is ejection." And he's like, Dane's like, "I know." And that was it. There was no other thing after that. And like, you know, yeah. So that's good. Also, I think I didn't see it live, but I think also in the UH game, he kind of got animated too. I gotta see if it's on
He's
Spectrum.
always going to get animated, and I can appreciate it. Shout out to Coach Dane. All right, last one for you, Michael. Again, you guys can tune in for HPU versus Chaminade Pac-West baseball action coming up this afternoon, 2:00 p.m. They do play a doubleheader, but broadcast-wise, only game 1 on here on Hawaii Sports Radio Network, and then you can also listen to it on demand. It's going to anticipate a really good game, as it always is, against Chaminade, but HPU coming off of a 3-1 series win over Fresno Pacific. So what would be your kind of keys to the game as HPU looks to keep this momentum? Because they got pretty much every win is a must win just to be able to try to make its way into the Pac-West Conference tournament. So what are the keys to the game for this HPU Shark squad to try to come in out with a win? And even though their records, it shows that they're completely far apart, you throw all of that out the window when it comes to these two squads playing against each other, because the rivalry games go to another level. And Chaminade, I mean, even in that last game, even though HPU came out with that win and put up a bunch of runs in the first inning, Chaminade started to chip away and really put a scare into HPU down towards the ending of that game, which HPU ended up winning 11-7. But what are the keys to the game heading into these two games today for HPU Sharks to continue their winning ways?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much start strong, right? If you can get an early lead, that gives confidence to your pitchers, where, hey, you know, you can kind of experiment a little bit with your pitches and you know, kind of force guys to chase because they're training. And against Chaminade, they got off to a 7-0 lead, right? And that pretty much carried them throughout the whole game. So, just start strong. You know, if there's early struggles, then they're going to be in a dogfight. And it is a double. And the reason why it's strong because it is a double header. So, like, if you have to go to the bullpen sooner, then that's like one less arm that might not be available the following game, right? Or, you know, just you want to space out your pitches. I mean, obviously, you know, if Nick Blakeney has to come out of the game earlier, you know, Coach Dane's probably gonna turn to Jacob Vanek. You know, as long as Jacob Vanek hasn't thrown 90 pitches, he's gonna go there. So, just start strong, and because I don't know who Shaman is gonna throw, but yeah, you just gotta start strong and see if you can maintain it. Because if HP jumps up to early, that's pretty much a done deal. But if they do get to dogfight, then they can go into a dogfight, and hopefully they can just maintain it.
Sounds good. All right, there you go. Michael Liscaro's HPU versus Chaminade, mainly HPU baseball preview report. Once again, tune in this afternoon. Kyle Galdera and Michael Liscaro with you on the call as Paul Brecht will patiently await. I don't know if patiently or impatiently at this point. Await what will happen within the next 24 hours or so here in the arrival of his baby girl. So a lot of stuff going on. But yes, we 5-tool players. That's why we do what we do. We're all 5-tool players in this school. So company. Yeah, well, we're still learning.
We're 5-tool players that might be missing us some screws.
It's just because, again, we joked about this yesterday. A lot going on at the moment. So there's only so much that our brains can keep track of at one time.
Our brains got a little too much cartouches.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to close it out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
In Hawaii,
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and our Michael Liscaro sliding in here real quick to give you a quick preview and update for the HPU Sharks baseball team. Again, HPU versus Chaminade later on this afternoon, 2:00 p.m. The first of a doubleheader that's this afternoon, but we'll bring you coverage of Game 1 of the doubleheader. And as we mentioned, a lot of these before, especially last season and the last few seasons, we kind of bring you the doubleheaders, but because we're trying to manage the schedule of Paul and the schedule of Michael and myself, we are it probably makes more sense to space out these games and just do the single game so that we can limit the clopins of what's going to happen. So it's been a fun one. Shout out Jaden Gabrillo and shout out to our YouTube chatter here, Chris. I know, I'm sorry. It's just because I want to, all the good players I just want to claim. You know what? Tyler Arnold is from Waipahu. Did you hear?
He is.
He plays at Hans Larange. So he is from Waipahu.
He's from Waipahu. Born, bred, built. No.
Shout out Emma Beach and Jaden Gabrillo and Campbell High School, of course. But that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. It's just because he's been, as Michael said, has the most wins and everything for HPU as the pitchers when he's in there. But so it's just a natural thing. I just wanted to claim Gabrillo as a Waipahu guy. So
I get it.
It's right next door.
Did you see this text that we got towards the end of the first hour about UH baseball? I wasn't sure if you wanted to touch on that today before we get out of here. Our texter says, "Is it time to panic about UH baseball? 6-9 after the first half of the conference slate is not good enough to be, or is not going to be good enough to get them in the top 5 to make the Big West tournament." That is just a factual text in general, outside of the first question, which is obviously a question. This is a big one for me because I'm very I'm always on the edge of I'll tell you when to panic.
Yeah.
It is certainly not a great place that they're in currently. They have put themselves behind the 8 ball quite a bit. I am encouraged by the fact that I think their offense woke up a little bit at UC San Diego. I do understand they had a horrible performance in the rubber match that was they got shut out in, but otherwise I thought there were some good things there. I am hoping to see that offense has now taken a step forward, and if so, if that's the case against UC Irvine, who they're right there in the standings with, if you can take 2 of 3 or sweep Irvine, all of a sudden you put yourself right back in the conversation of that top 5. So I won't say it's time to panic yet, but I don't blame anybody if they are concerned at this point because the pitching has been practically as good as you can ask through this point in the year. I mean, it's been, they've been top 10 in the country in ERA. At some point, you do have to play complementary baseball consistently. And we saw it at the beginning of the year. They have the ability to win these games. It's just they got to win every series from here on out. They're kind of in a similar place that HPU finds themselves in, right? Where the playoffs start almost a little bit early, and that's because they weren't able to take care of business on the first half of their conference slate. Not because they're not a good team, but because baseball is a really hard sport sometimes.
Yeah, and I think the bummer looking back on that UC San Diego series this past weekend.
First game's the one that
it's like escape. Hawaii could have won this series. Again, no excuse for the performance yesterday. Got blown out and shut out 8-0 to take the L for the series. But if they had at least been able to close out that game 1 that ended in a 10-9 decision and was not extra innings but went 4 hours, it would have, they could have been looking at it differently. Now they just beat or won the series against the top team in the Big West. And when you're looking at UC Irvine, again, a massive series coming up on Sunday, but UC Irvine is finally starting to do UC Irvine things, right? They had kind of a weird start to the season, and by weird, I mean horrible, where the Anteaters, or excuse me, the Dirtbags in UC Irvine, that's their name for baseball, so don't at me.
Wait, Irvine is the Dirtbags?
No, that's Long Beach.
Long Beach,
sorry.
Dirtbags.
Well, then Irvine is just Dirtbags in general.
It's just, that's what we're normal calling
I'm just loving all the baseball stuff right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, it's a Monday.
I was going to say, there's a lot going on.
So Irvine has turned around the corner, and they are actually now middle of the standings. They're on a 3-game win streak right now, right? So they have leapfrogged Hawaii, where Irvine was I think the lowest at bottom 2 of the conference, which was really weird to see for a team that is always competitive in Big West baseball. But now it seems like they have started to figure things out. They're 6-6 in conference. Same situation for them. They have to keep winning. So they are going to come here very determined, as Hawaii will be hosting UC Irvine. So massive series. I haven't seen if it's sold out yet, but I can imagine it will be, and it should be. Men's volleyball is out of town. So baseball, they're going to need all of you guys there out at the Les Murakami Stadium, because like you just mentioned, must-win games here on out for the University of Hawaii. At the very least, must-win series. I know it's next to impossible to win out completely. We're still in the middle of the season, of the conference season. But you got to take care of business and try to take care of business against some of these teams that are a lot, like I said, Irvine coming off of the 3-game win streak, I've started to figure things out.
You have an opportunity to streak in a good way. You also have a chance to basically get knocked out this weekend. Playoff start against Irvine. That's the way that I'm looking at this weekend. Hope to see everybody out there. Hope to see a series win and realistically a series sweep for the Rainbow Warriors.
Still crazy though. We still got a lot of baseball games
There's a
to
ton
go.
of baseball left.
They got a lot of non-con left too. They're gonna still have series like at UCO. We'll jump back on around 2:00 p.m. for HPU versus Chaminade baseball today. Kyle Galdera and Michael Esquero with the call, presented by Hawaii Pacific Health. Paul, maybe you're definitely your last YouTube show to say bye for the next few weeks at least.
I'll see you guys. So maybe in May.
Yeah, you might hear him tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we're excited for everything that's going on. But for now, we got to go. Paul Brecht, Ku'ulei Agbayani, and Michael Esquero out there in the bullpen. Have a good day. We'll talk to you this afternoon. Bye.
You're listening to the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming 24/7 at hawaiisportsradio.com and on the new Hawaii Sports Radio app.